Close your eyes for a moment. Can you feel it? That subtle tension between who you think you are and who you could truly be? That quiet voice whispering that there's more to existence than the roles you play, the masks you wear, the carefully constructed identity you present to the world? In 1944, Carl Gustav Jung, the man who mapped the deepest territories of the human psyche, was forced to confront this tension directly and immeasurably. A massive cardiac arrest didn't just threaten his life, it shattered the boundary between his conscious mind and the vast and mysterious realm he had spent decades trying to understand. Onward, thinkers, my name is Mr. Halvig, and you're watching The Rational Wise. This wasn't just another near-death experience. It was the living laboratory where Jung's most profound theories about human consciousness would be tested, validated, and transformed by direct encounter with what lies beyond the veil of ordinary perception. Jung's experience wasn't just a physiological event. It was a direct entry into the mystery of being. He had theorized about the collective unconscious, but now he had a first-hand experience that would challenge and expand his concepts. This veil isn't just about death. It's about the threshold of perception, where our fragmented identity meets the totality of being, and consciousness extends beyond the confines of ego. But the question isn't whether Jung's experience was real in the objective sense. The true question that arises is, what would change in your life if you truly understood that consciousness extends far beyond your individual mind? That death might not be an end, but a doorway to something much greater? That the person you think you are may be only the surface of something infinitely deeper? Imagine your consciousness suddenly liberated from the prison of flesh and bone, soaring 1,500 kilometers above Earth until you are suspended in the void of space. Jung found himself in this impossible position, gazing at our planet bathed in the most beautiful light he had ever witnessed. A radiance that seemed to emanate not from the sun, but from the earth itself, as if our world were glowing with an inner spiritual fire. From this cosmic vantage point, Jung could see continents spread out below, snow-capped mountains gleaming like jewels, and the curvature of the earth revealing itself in breathtaking majesty. But this wasn't mystical fantasy. From a psychological standpoint, Jung was experiencing what he would later understand as a transition from personal consciousness to cosmic consciousness. The shift from the limited perspective of ego to what he called the self, with a capital S. This phenomenon is deeply symbolic. Jung was accessing a broader view of what life and existence truly are. Often in our day-to-day lives, we get so immersed in our personal issues, the stress of work, relationship dramas, financial concerns, that we lose the ability to see the bigger picture. What Jung experienced, this detachment from the everyday, is something we all could learn to do. Transcend our limited perspective of ego and view our lives from a more integrated, universal standpoint. The blue light that bathed the earth carries deep symbolic weight in Jung's psychology. The color blue, in the language of the unconscious, represents the transcendent, the spiritual, the realm of infinite possibilities that exist beyond our everyday consciousness. Jung wasn't just seeing the earth as a physical object. He was perceiving it as sacred space where consciousness comes to experience itself. The deeper question that emerges is, when was the last time you saw your life, with all its struggles, as sacred? When did you recognize that your personal journey, however mundane it may seem, is actually part of a cosmic process of consciousness experiencing itself through your unique experience? As Jung floated in cosmic awareness, something extraordinary manifested. A massive block of dark stone, ancient and imposing, carved into the shape of a temple that seemed to exist outside of time and space. This wasn't just a building, it was the manifestation of one of the most powerful archetypes in the human psyche. The temple, the sacred threshold where transformation becomes possible. The entrance was illuminated by rows of lamps pulsing with otherworldly light, similar to those Jung had observed in a temple in Ceylon, but somehow more alive, more intentional. These weren't ordinary flames. They seemed to embody the very essence of consciousness, each flame representing an aspect of awareness, a light that opened the way to deeper understanding. Inside the temple, a figure awaited in lotus position, silent, eternal, watchful. This was the threshold guardian, that archetypal presence appearing in myths across all cultures, testing our readiness for true transformation. Every hero's journey, every genuine process of growth, requires us to face such a guardian. It represents the part of our psyche that asks, are you truly ready to let go of who you've been to become who you really are? Here, the temple is not just a physical space, but a metaphor for all the psychological spaces in our lives, where the ordinary meets the sacred. What are these temples in your own life? They may be moments of crisis that force you to question everything you believe. They could be relationships that challenge you to grow beyond your known limits. Or they might be careers or projects that demand you become more than you currently are. The guardian isn't external. It's that voice inside you questioning whether you're ready for the next phase of your development. Most people spend their entire lives avoiding their guardians, staying comfortably within the familiar, rather than risking the transformation that awaits beyond the doors of the temple. And here's the key Jung's experience reveals. You don't need to wait for a near-death experience to encounter your own temple. Life constantly presents thresholds, guardians, and opportunities for you to step into a larger version of yourself. Do you have the courage to recognize these moments when they appear, or will you shy away from experiences that could liberate you from your limitations? Before Jung could cross the threshold, something profound began. The process of stripping away. Every belief he had ever held, every desire he had ever cherished, every aspect of his carefully constructed identity began detaching from him like autumn leaves releasing their grip on the branches that had sustained them. This wasn't destruction, it was revelation. Jung was experiencing the dissolution of the persona, that mask we wear to navigate social expectations, and even deeper, temporary dissolution of ego itself to reveal the authentic self beneath all psychological defenses. Jung described this as simultaneously the most painful and the most satisfying experience of his existence. Painful because everything he thought defined him was being stripped away. His identity as famous psychiatrist, husband, father, and man with particular opinions. But deeply satisfying because with each layer that fell away, he felt himself becoming more real, more essential, more true to his fundamental nature. He described it as peeling back the layers of a false self that had been constructed over decades, exposing the vulnerable, unadulterated core of his being. Imagine for a moment what this process would feel like in your own life. What if everything you think defines you, your job title, your social status, your political opinions, your relationship roles, your fears and dreams, suddenly fell away? What would remain? Jung discovered pure awareness, pure being, what he called a bundle of one's own history, the consciousness that has witnessed every moment of existence. This is perhaps the most revolutionary insight in all of psychology. You are not your thoughts, your emotions, your memories, or even your personality. You are the consciousness that witnesses all these phenomena. You are the awareness that has remained constant from your earliest childhood memories to this very moment, the unchanging witness of your ever-changing experience. What Jung realized in that moment was that the persona, the face we show the world, wasn't the real self at all, but a social construct. It was the shell, the illusion we create to survive in the world. What he found, as the layers peeled away, was a fundamental truth that had always been there. That the real self is neither the mask we wear nor the identity we build, but the silent, observing consciousness that has always existed within us. If you're enjoying the content, don't forget to hit the like button. It helps more than you think. Now let's continue. How much of your suffering comes from over-identifying with temporary aspects of experience? How much energy do you waste defending opinions that aren't truly yours? Maintaining relationships that no longer serve growth? Pursuing goals programmed by family expectations or social conditioning? Just as Jung stood poised to cross the ultimate threshold into the temple's inner mysteries, an unexpected interruption occurred. His earthly doctor, now surrounded by a golden aura, appeared in front of him, urgently protesting Jung's departure from the physical realm. This moment was filled with profound significance, as if the doctor himself was connected to Jung's fate in a way beyond comprehension. Jung felt a deep sense of disappointment, almost as if his journey had been halted just as it was about to reach its peak. However, Jung couldn't shake the feeling that this interruption wasn't just a random event. It felt significant, like a cosmic message. His doctor's presence, particularly the golden aura that surrounded him, was symbolic of a transition taking place. Within days of Jung's recovery, the doctor fell ill and tragically passed away from septicemia. This sudden turn of events seemed to suggest that the doctor had taken Jung's place in death, reinforcing Jung's belief in the synchronistic nature of reality, where events unfold in meaningful ways beyond the constraints of linear causality. This wasn't just coincidence. This event was a demonstration of Jung's concept of synchronicity, the meaningful connections that transcend time and space. Jung had tapped into the collective unconscious, the vast realm where individual boundaries fade and all minds are interwoven. It revealed that consciousness extends far beyond the individual and is a shared experience. Have you ever felt a deep, inexplicable intuition about a person or situation that later proved to be true? Or experienced a moment of connection that felt too meaningful to be a mere coincidence? Jung's experience suggests that these moments are not accidents. They reflect a deeper layer of reality, one in which our lives and actions are connected in ways that our rational minds can barely comprehend. The boundary between self and other is an illusion created by fear. Jung's experience teaches us that we are all interconnected in ways that transcend our personal awareness. The doctor's intervention, while seemingly a physical event, highlighted the profound interconnectedness that Jung was beginning to understand. It wasn't about escaping the physical world, but about learning to integrate these cosmic realizations into earthly existence. During recovery, Jung was caught between two states. During the day, anchored to his failing body, he felt weak. But at night, something magical happened. He would awaken in bliss, floating in an immense void filled with perfect happiness. In these visions, Jung encountered a nurse with a blue aura, celebrating what he called a mystical marriage in a garden filled with pomegranates, symbols of unity and the integration of multiplicity into wholeness. This wasn't a literal marriage. Jung was witnessing the hieros gamos, the sacred marriage of opposites, representing the highest achievement of psychological development. He was integrating his conscious and unconscious minds, his masculine and feminine aspects, his earthly and spiritual natures. The pomegranate, with its seeds unified in a single skin, represents Jung's transcendent function, bridging opposites and creating new possibilities. The individuated self is a coherent whole that integrates all aspects of personality. This mystical marriage represents Jung's ultimate goal, discovering wholeness through integrating all aspects of yourself that have been split off, denied, or projected onto others. How much energy do you spend seeking outside yourself what can only be found within? How often do you look for someone else to complete you when the person you're seeking is actually an aspect of yourself needing integration? Jung's return to ordinary consciousness wasn't just a transition back to the life he had known. It marked the beginning of the true challenge. integrating the extraordinary wisdom he had acquired during his near-death experience into his everyday life. The key question now became, how does one continue to live with an awareness of the infinite while still engaging fully with the mundane aspects of life? This phase of Jung's journey marked his evolving relationship with amor fati, the love of fate. He came to understand that true peace comes not from wishing life were different, but from accepting life as it is. This wasn't about passively resigning to life's challenges. It was about embracing everything as part of the larger process of conscious evolution. Jung found that accepting all experiences, both positive and negative, was essential to spiritual growth. Years later, after his wife's passing, Jung had a powerful dream in which she appeared to him. But this time, she didn't appear with the emotional attachment and longing of earthly love. Instead, she came to him with objective knowledge and wisdom. In this moment, Jung realized that true love isn't about need-based attachment or dependency. It's about recognizing the essence of another person as a whole being, independent of how that person fits into our desires or projections. This realization forever changed Jung's understanding of love. Jung's reflections on love challenge us all. How often do we love others for who they truly are, rather than for what we need them to be? True love, as Jung discovered, is rooted in profound recognition and acceptance, not in fulfilling our personal desires or expectations. The deepest spiritual experiences are worthless unless they transform how you treat the person in front of you. Jung's return wasn't just about coming back to life. It was about bringing his transcendent experiences into practical, embodied existence. How do you live with wisdom while navigating the complexities of relationships, responsibilities, and daily life? For Jung, the work of integration was a daily process. It wasn't enough to have an epiphany. True growth comes when we apply our insights to the fabric of everyday interactions. Every moment is an opportunity to transform how we engage with ourselves and others. Jung's experience wasn't just personal revelation. It was a living demonstration of the process of individuation, the lifelong journey towards psychological and spiritual wholeness. The temple represents the temenos, the sacred space where transformation becomes possible. The guardian represents psychological function, testing readiness for the next level. The stripping away represents voluntary release of false identities. The mystical marriage represents the ultimate goal, integrating opposites to create the transcendent function, a new consciousness level that transcends previous limitations. These archetypal patterns aren't just interesting concepts. They're a roadmap for conscious evolution you can apply, regardless of mystical experiences. You don't need to nearly die to encounter your temple. Every situation forcing you to question assumptions is a potential temple. The question isn't whether you'll encounter these patterns. They're built into conscious evolution. The question is whether you'll recognize them and have courage to engage consciously. The most radical insight, the process Jung experienced while dying, is the same process we must undergo continuously if we want to keep evolving. Every day, aspects of who you were yesterday must die so who you're becoming tomorrow can be born. Every attachment that no longer serves must be released. Every identity that's too small for your expanding consciousness must be shed. This is voluntary death, the conscious choice to let go of whatever prevents becoming who you truly are. How many of your current problems stem from an unwillingness to let something die that needs to die? How much suffering comes from trying to keep alive relationships or beliefs that have served their purpose? Jung's experience reveals that transformation requires dying before you die. Choosing this conscious death becomes a gateway to greater life. The temple of transformation exists within your consciousness, and the guardian is your wisdom, testing your readiness for the next level. The opportunity for transformation is here, now. Jung chose differently. He entered the temple while alive. He faced his guardian, underwent the stripping away, and consummated the mystical marriage. What will you choose? Will you step into this process, or will you remain in the comfort of your current self? Let me know what you think in the comments. I read every single one. And of course, subscribe for more high-value content. In our next video, we'll dive deep into Carl Jung's most radical theory about dreams, one that challenges everything we think we know about consciousness. What if your dreams aren't just reflections of your subconscious, but active agents in shaping your reality? What if they hold the keys to unlocking parts of your mind you've never dared to explore? Click now to uncover the hidden layers of your mind and discover how understanding your dreams could reveal profound truths about who you really are. Don't miss this transformative journey into the depths of your unconscious. Onward, thinkers!